So yesterday we were discussing about the concept of ledgers. So in SAP S/4HANA, as we discussed that, okay, so we are discussing there are two types of ledgers are there. One is going to be called as a leading ledger. The leading ledger is defaulted in SAP. We call it as the 0L or OL. We can call it as 0L or OL. So as per our yesterday's discussion, the leading ledger is going to be defined. Very, very important actually. This leading ledger is assigned to all the company cores. Okay, whichever the company codes we are using for posting of any financial transactions, the leading ledger is getting updated to all the transactions. So that is the reason by default we can see that the leading ledger is getting assigned to all the company codes. It is not for the selected company codes, means it is for all the company codes. If you have 30 company codes, by default I can see all the 30 company codes here. By default I can see all the 30 company codes will be assigned to my leading ledger. So leading ledger is going to be called as a main ledger, or it is also called as the parent ledger. We call it as a parent ledger. So all the financial accounting transactions are getting posted to this leading ledger. And what is the purpose of the ledger? To meet our accounting principle. To meet our accounting principle as per the accounting standards. Maybe I'm using different accounting standards for posting of any transactions. Maybe I'm using IFRS or local GAAP or US GAAP. There will be different types of accounting standards will be there. In SAP, we call them as an accounting principles. In SAP, we call them as an accounting principles actually. So I have defined, so as a standard level, okay, we see that there is a leading ledger is there. There is a leading ledger is there. So how do I define this is the leading ledger? Because if you see the checkbox, there is only one leading ledger can be defined. No multiple leading ledgers cannot be defined, my dear friends. Please make a note of this. No multiple leading ledgers can be defined. There should be only one leading ledger should be defined. Either it can be OL, which is the standard SAP defined, or you can also create your own leading ledger and you can select it as a leading ledger instead of selecting the OL. But make sure that there should be only one leading ledger should be defined in your SAP. No multiple leading ledgers cannot be assigned to one company code. If I'm trying to assign any other leading ledger, for example, I'll take one leading ledger and I want to assign the second one also to my company code, then the system will throw an error. Multiple leading ledgers cannot be assigned to one company code. So this ledger type is going to be called as a standard ledger. As I told you that we have two ledgers are there. One is going to be called as a leading ledger, another one is non-leading ledger. We'll discuss more into the non-leading ledgers. So first, once we complete the leading ledger concept. So both the ledgers are called as the standard ledgers. Both the ledgers are going to be called as the standard ledger, and there is one more type of ledger, we call it as the extension ledger, which will be used for internal reporting purpose. This is also a very, very important topic in our SAP S/4HANA. So totally three ledgers are there. One is leading ledger, non-leading ledger, another one is going to be called as extension ledger. So today we are discussing about the concept of leading ledger. Okay, so all the leading and non-leading ledgers will be categorized under the ledger type of standard ledger. Both leading ledger and the non-leading ledger. So whichever the ledger you can see here, which is not selected as a leading here, so this particular ledger we call it as a standard ledger only, but this is called as the non-leading ledger. Why? Because you can see here there should be only one leading ledger and remaining all are going to be called as, some are going to be called as extension ledger type and some are going to be called as the non-leading ledger types over here, we can see here. So but we can come to the point, we'll be discussing what is the non-leading ledger also. Now what is the ledger type? The ledger type is going to be called as a standard ledger because it is not an extension ledger. Any ledger, if it is a leading ledger or a non-leading ledger, we'll select it as a standard ledger. And the extension ledger, if you are defining it as an extension ledger, okay, if you are defining it as an extension ledger, then the extension ledgers, we have different types of extension ledger types will be there. These are going to be called as extension ledger types. We can see here. These are going to be called as extension ledger types. We have different types of extension ledger. So as I told you that this is a very, very important topic. Extension ledger is also very, very important topic. We are going to have a special class on this extension ledger. It will take more than 1.5 hours because we need to discuss into the more examples into the extension ledger, how it is going to helpful when we are posting any transactions in SAP. So yes, I'm just for a 2 to 3 days. Yes, madam.
Just a high level overview, just out of curiosity, why do we have multiple ledgers in the first place?
Yes, madam. So that's what I'm telling. So why do we have a multiple ledgers in SAP? So first, if you understand the basics of the leading ledger, then if I go and discuss about the non-leading ledgers and the extension ledger, you will come to understand here. Why do we require 100%? But today, just wait for one day today. Okay, so once you get the clarity on the ledger, what is exactly the ledger, then if I discuss on the different types of ledgers in SAP, then you'll come to understand. Okay, so I'll discuss more. I'll discuss because these all are very, very important topic. Even these topics cannot be skipped actually. Okay, so I'll take it as a more important topic about all these things. Okay, so now when I take a ledger, okay, now I'm putting a ledger. So any transactions in SAP, I told that any transactions in SAP, I have a company code. I have a company code. This is my company code. My company code is called as US 10. Okay, so very, very important. My company code is called as a US 10. So US 10, I am operating my company code in which fiscal year? I am operating my company code in a fiscal year called as Jan to December. Jan to December is nothing but my reporting year, which is called as my financial year or my fiscal year. In SAP, we call it as a fiscal year. And what is your currency which you have been assigned here? The currency which have been assigned to my company code is going to be called as USD. USD is nothing but my local currency here. Now, for this company code, okay, now when I take a company code called as the US, so which is operating in US country, so what is the accounting standard you are going to be using for the reporting purpose? So I'm going to be using called as my US GAAP or IFRS. IFRS is my local accounting standard, so I need to maintain all my reports based on the IFRS standard. So how do we come to understand this in SAP? So what I'm going to do here is nothing but I'm creating a one ledger. So that ledger name, I'm going to be calling it as the leading ledger. I'll tell you what is the leading ledger. So that ledger, I will be calling it as the leading ledger. That ledger. So I need to create one ledger. If I want to report my accounting standard, so I'm creating one ledger. So in SAP, as I told you that this ledger is a defaulted. So no need to create any leading ledger. So in any SAP, if you go back and see here, the leading ledger is going to be defaulted, and make sure that if you have multiple company codes are there. Okay, now I'm taking one more company code also. I'm taking one more company code here. Okay, and I'm taking one more company code. There are 3 company codes are there. So very, very important. So the company code is US 10, the company code is AU 10, and the company code is FR 10 or DE 10, Germany. Okay, like this I'm going to be taking. Now, for all these 3 company codes, all these 3 company codes belong to the same company. So for all the 3 company codes, what I'm going to do here, I'm assigning the same ledger, which is going to be called as OL. OL. So by default, I can see the OL will be the standard ledger for all the company codes. OL is nothing but which we call it as the leading ledger. So it is not like that the ledger can be assigned only for specific company codes. No, leading ledger is a default for all the company codes. Leading ledger is the default for all the company codes where all the standards are maintained in the leading ledger. So here, this leading ledger I'm using for IFRS reporting. And this leading ledger I'm using for the LGAP, local GAAP. LGAP is one of the reporting purpose. And this leading ledger, Germany, I'm going to be using for the IFRS, same IFRS only. This I'll change it to US GAAP. Okay, so for easy for understand. This I'll change it to US GAAP. So like this, these are the 3 principles are there. So like this, if I come and see here, these are the US GAAP. US GAAP. So if I see here, every company and having every company code will be having different reporting systems are there. So to address all these reportings, what I'm going to do here, the same leading ledger is going to be assigned to all the 3 company codes. It is assigned at the company code level. If you see here, the leading ledger OL is assigned to US 10, the leading ledger OL is assigned to AU 10, and the leading ledger OL is assigned to my DE 10. Now, this is exactly the figure which is going to be figured out. So whatever the transactions, now tomorrow I'm posting some financial transactions. Okay, for example, I'm posting an invoice or a vendor invoice or something like expenses. Whatever the transactions you're getting posted, all the transactions will be updated to your OL. Okay, so all the transactions from the procurement of the raw material till the goods have been sold to the customer. If you see from the end-to-end cycle, during the procurement to till the goods have been sold to the customer, there will be multiple financial transactions are getting updated in a day-to-day. Multiple financial transactions we are posting: wages, salaries, rent expenses, electrical expenses, machine repairs, procurement. Okay, so whatnot, multiple expenses are going to be incurred on balance sheet account. So what is happening? So all these transactions are getting posted at the ledger level. Okay, so if I go into the SAP once again here, okay, so if I open a new session, so which table is getting updated? ACDOCA table. We call it as the ACDOCA table. Okay, so all these financial transactions are getting posted and updated to the OL. Now, why? What is the purpose? The purpose here is nothing but I need to meet my accounting standards based on my local GAAP. Because if I see the difference between the US GAAP, between the local GAAP, it is a completely different, and the local GAAP to IFRS, it is completely different. So I need to address all these accounting standards. So that is the reason I'm creating my leading ledger. So this leading ledger will be updated with all the transactions, which will be useful for my reporting purpose. In the same way, for local GAAP, if I want to address, I'm using this local OL. For IFRS, I'm going to be using the OL. So what I'm going to do here is nothing but, so the leading ledger is getting assigned to the company coach. So here, if I see here, the leading ledger is getting assigned to the company coach. And for example, if I see 1710 here, so I'm going to be assigning to the company code, and for the leading ledger, I'm going to be assigned all the currency settings. Very, very important. So now I'll coming to the important topic, which is called the currency settings to the ledger. Now, if I see here, these two currencies are defaulted. One is going to be called as my local currency type. Another one is going to be called as my global currency type. This is the new currency type in SAP S/4HANA. We don't have this currency in earlier in SAP ECC. I'll tell you what is the purpose of this. So, because it is called as the main ledger, or it is also called as the parent ledger actually. Now, yes, how the 10 is getting defaulted? Because for the same company code, I have assigned a currency called as the USD. So the default, so from where the 10 is getting updated, the 10 will be updated as a local currency. This is, we know, everybody, we know that. And what is this global currency type? What is this global currency type? This is very, very important now. Okay, now I'll just open, just let it be the screen like this only. My dear friends, yesterday, if you go back to our SAP ECC, we have this financial accounting, and we have this controlling, and we have one more called as the material ledger also. We have called as the material ledger. Okay, very, very important. Okay, so now I'm coming. This is my FI. FI is always called as my GL, and this is my controlling, CO. And this I call it as a material ledger for the parallel valuation and the parallel currency. I'll tell you what is material ledger. We will be discussing more in that. If you go back to your SAP, as I told you in my beginning of the classes, I told that we are going to be defining separate data structure for FI. So once the transactions are getting posted, the transactions will be updated to two different tables. One is going to be called as the BKPF. One is going to be calling it as the BKPF. Another one is going to be called as the BSEC. In the same way, we have the same thing for the controlling also. In the same way, we are going to be having for the controlling also. For what are the controlling? Two tables. One is the header table called as COBK. Another one is going to be called as COEP. COEP. Okay. So like this, we have the material ledger also. So what is happening earlier? If you go back to your SAP ECC, these three are going to be called as separate ledgers. These three are going to be called as separate modules. Actually, we call them as the separate modules. So we are defining the currencies at each and every component level. We are defining the currencies at each and every component level. Okay, so as we discussed that in SAP, if you go back to OB22, OB22 is no more available in SAP S/4HANA. So we are going to be assigning how many currencies? Three currencies. First currency, okay, first currency will be always called as your local currency, that is the 10. And I told that there will be two more currencies will be there. Second currency, And there is a one more currency called a third currency, which is one more additional currency. Okay, so the first currency always will be your local currency only, defaulted. The first currency is always called as a local currency. So whichever the currency you have been assigned to the company code, that will be a local currency. For example, here I'm going to be taking the USD. And the second currency, most will take as a 30 earlier. 30 is going to be called as a group currency, and the third currency, either I can take it as a 40 or I can take it as a 50. When you come to here in FI, we can define up to 3 currencies in FI. We can define up to 3 currencies, but when you go to the controlling, we can define only up to 2 currencies. In controlling is a separate module for the costing accounting. For the cost accounting purpose, we are going to be using the controlling. Controlling is mainly useful for internal reporting purpose, actually. Mainly useful for internal reporting purpose for the cost accounting. So to know what are all the costs which have been occurred, or what are the costs which have been triggered during the manufacturing of a product, the controlling is going to give the actual figures of the cost which have been incurred during the manufacturing of a product or any service rendered by an organization. So we are going to be creating a separate entity here. So what I'm going to do here, controlling is a separate module. So in the controlling, there will be controlling is supported only up to 2 currencies. 2 currencies. The first currency and the second currency. Very, very important. These are very, very important. Second currency. So how the documents will flow, how the controlling documents will be seen here, because controlling is mainly for the cost accounting. So whatever the cost related transactions you are posting, all the cost accounting related transactions will flow from FI to CO like this. So a document will be triggered. So if, for example, if I'm posting something called as the rent expenses in my FI, rent expenses. Rent is nothing but my cost. Rent expenses is nothing but my cost. So now you're posting these transactions in SAP FI. So this is the cost. So I would like to see this cost related transactions in my controlling. So I'll be using some integration between the FI to CO. So whatever the cost accounts I post, automatically the cost accounts will be triggered to my controlling. Okay, we'll discuss. Okay, now how many currencies can be assigned to the controlling? Earlier, I'm talking these all the things I'm talking in SAP ECC, not in SAP S/4HANA. Now I'll bring the final concept to my SAP S/4HANA. Now, when you see this is all in SAP ECC, I make a heading so you will not be confused. This is in SAP ECC, not in SAP S/4HANA. So in controlling, the controlling will be assigned only to, okay, it will be defaulted with only 2 currency types. One is the first currency, another one is going to be called as the second currency. So the only 2 currencies can be assigned. Very, 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 very important. So if I open the simplification list, now I'm opening the simplification list now. Okay, so I'm opening the simplification list. I'll go to one of the simplification list, any one of the simplification list. So I'll come to my general ledger. Here we are going to be discussing about the currencies in the universal general. Now just come down. Now here you can see here. So there will be 2 parallel currencies for the controlling. There will be 2 parallel currencies for the controlling. So there will be 3 parallel currencies for the control for the FI. Just now we discussed that. If you go to the OB22 transaction, we can see over there. So like this, okay, if we go to the OB22 transaction, last class I shown that. But if we go back to your controlling, only 2 currencies can be supported. So which table you have to refer, TKA01, or you can use this transaction OKKP, the controlling area and the object currency. One is going to be called as controlling area currency. Controlling area currency. Another one is going to be called as object currency. We can call it as the object currency. Now I'll go to the OKKP now. I'll take any of the controlling area. I'll take any one of the control. It's not a practical, just I'm explaining you the concept of currencies, because controlling is a very good subject we are going to discuss afterwards. Okay, so once we complete the FI. So I'm taking one of the controlling area and I'm going for the display. Now here you can see here the currency type is there. Now here you can see there is a currency type is there here. For every controlling area, we are going to be assigning the currency type. So here, if I see this particular controlling area, if I see this particular controlling area, I see that, okay, so I just know I told that whatever the transactions you're posting, whatever the transactions you're posting in FI, okay, either it can be the 1710 company code or it is the 1810 company code. There will be different company codes are there, 1910 company code, whatever the company code. So all these company codes are created in FI and you're posting lot many transactions of using this company codes. And I created one controlling area in my controlling. 8000 is nothing but my controlling area. To flow the data between the FI to controlling, I need to assign all these three company codes to my controlling area actually. So if I don't assign any one of the company code to my controlling area, the respective company code transactions, the cost related accounting transactions will not flow to my controlling. So if I come here, if I double click on assignment of company codes, so what are all the company codes you have assigned to this particular controlling area 8000? Now if I double click on it, I can see my 1710 is also assigned to the same company code, and TA00 company code and TA02 company code. Total 3 company codes are assigned to the controlling area. Totally 3 company codes are there. So whatever the accounting transactions you're posting, all these financial accounting transactions for the respective company codes will flow to the controlling area. Okay, now I'll discuss more into that. Now, at the controlling area level, we are going to be assigning one currency type. What is this currency type is going to be called as? This currency type is for the controlling area. As I told you that, okay, so you can assign, these are the currency types. Either you can assign the 10. Why we can assign the 10 means, I'll tell you. If, assume that there is only one company code. Assume that there is only one company code in my company. No other company codes are there. Only one company code. My company code is going to be called as 1710 is nothing but my company code. I have only one company code. 1710. And I'm doing all accounting transactions in the same company code. I don't have any further company code. So what I'm going to do, I'm creating only one controlling area. That is for the cost accounting. So now, if I want to see the data flow between the company code to my company code is nothing but FI, and this is my controlling area. So what I'm going to do, I am assigning the same company code to one controlling area relationship to one company code. This is what exactly I call it as one-to-one relationship. One company code assigned to the controlling area means it is a one-to-one relationship. Here, what is the currency I'm using for 1710? What is my local currency? Local currency type is called as a 10. I'm using the USD as my local currency in my 1710 company code. If you are assigning only one company code to one controlling area, if there are no other company codes are available, which is operating in different currencies, if you don't have that company codes, if you have only one company code, if the same company code, if I am assigning to the same controlling area, then it is called as a one-to-one relationship only. Then the same controlling area currency, I will use as a 10 only, because there is no change, because there is no multiple company codes are assigned, because I don't want any other currencies. So the same company code currency, I will use it as a controlling area currency, which is going to be called as a 10. If I see observation here, I will use the company code currency over here. Instead of 30, I will take it as a 10. Now I'll come to the next one. Assume that you have multiple company codes are there. Okay, very good. Okay, if you have multiple company codes are there, I have totally three company codes are there. 1, 2, and 3 company codes are there. So one company code is in AU10, one company code is in IN10. or DE10. Okay. Now, if you see here, the respective of local currencies are going 10, currency type 10, but here it is the currency is going to be called as AUD, but here the currency type is going to be 10 for euro. We have three different currencies, my dear friends. We have three different currencies. Now, I have multiple company codes, and all these company codes I would like to assign to the same controlling area now. Same one controlling area with the different company codes. One controlling area with the different company codes. Now, the problem here is, if I assign only one company code to one controlling area, so all the transactions will be happened only in USD. But here, the transactions are coming out from AU10 in AUD, the transactions are coming from 1710 as a USD, and the transactions are coming from the German company code is Euro. Now here, I cannot take 10. Here, when you are assigning multiple company codes to one controlling area, I can't take 10. 10 is called as a local currency. Only one currency you can define. Here I cannot take multiple currencies, my dear friend. Here I cannot take multiple currencies. Here there are no three types. There is only one type of currency. Either you can take 10 or 30 or any other currency. The system is telling me. So I cannot take 10 because there are three company codes with the three different currencies. So what I will do here, I will use 30. 30 is going to be called as my group currency. 30 is going to be called as my group currency. So what is your group currency? So you already defined the group currency at the client level. So if I open the new session, so what is that way where I can see that group currency SCC4 at the client level? SCC4. Now I press enter. Now what is the client you are in which client you are operating all the system? The client number is 400. You can see it. This is called as my user defined client. My client is the 400 client. So if I select my client, this is my golden client. 000 is always called as my golden client. We don't have any access to operate in the golden client. So the basis people, they are going to be creating you one more client, which is called as user defined client. So you are implementing the project in the user defined client. So what is your group currency? The group currency here is USD. For my 000, which I can call it the golden currency, this is the golden client, which I call it as Euro. But I am doing all my configurations and I am doing all the testings in the 400 clients. So what is the currency? USD is nothing but my global group currency.
Hey Mahesh, quick question. So who defines the group currency to be USD?
Client will be deciding, madam. Client will be deciding us. So we are implementing SAP for one of our customers. So the client will tell us what will be the group currency.
Okay, and then the group currency will be used by all the companies, whichever are there.
Exactly. So if I want the consolidated report, if I want to see, for example, as I told you that if you have three company codes are there, all these three company codes are having the different local currencies. But tomorrow, if I want to see the final consolidated report for all this, irrespective of number of, for all this consolidated report, for all these three company codes. So I want to have one report, one currency. So either you can take AUD, USD or Euro, anything. So I'm taking the group currency as a USD here. So now, if you see here, all these three company codes, which are whatever the company codes you have, okay, all these three company codes, you are doing all this configuration in one client only. The client number is going to be the 400. 400 is nothing but you're logging to the 400 client with your username and password. So 400. So all these three company codes are addressed in the same client. So at the client level, I see that this group currency is going to be assigned to the client level. So what is happening? So finally, your consolidated currency is going to be the USD over here. So here, this currency type is going to be called as 30. As we discussed, this is called as my 30. 30 is going to be called as my group currency. Clear, madam?
Yes, thank you.
So where are we? Okay, we are here. Okay, now here, so my group currency is going to be the USD. So if you are assigning multiple company codes to one controlling area, so if I come to the same situation here, If I come to the same situation here, I have only one controlling area and I have assigned multiple company codes. If I see here, there are multiple company codes or 3 company codes. Every company code will have its own local currency. Then in that case, I can't take 10 here. In that case, I cannot take the 10. 1 second, please. So here, so what is your group currency? By default, I can see it is a USD. Just now we have seen. By default, I can see it as a USD. So that the system is telling that different company code currencies are assigned. Because what is the company code? 1710, I'm using USD. TS00, I'm using the Euro. TS02, I'm using some other currency. So this is what exactly different company code currencies. So I can take it as a 20. I can take it as a 20. So 30. So now what is happening here in SAP ECC, when I go back to your SAP ECC like that, okay, so one is the group currency. So like that, what is going to be Hassan? The first currency, either you can take, okay, either you can take it as a 10 or 20. 20 is called as the controlling area currency. 30 is going to be called as second currency is going to be called as 30. So either you can take any one of these currencies, 10 or 20 or 30. Now, in the same way, we have the material ledger also, we are going to be assigning the currency. So if I come here, so if I come to the OKKP, so we can see all the settings are going to be assigned over here. Just come down. Now I'm coming to the SAP S4HANA. Now in SAP S4HANA, this is what exactly the SAP S4HANA. So now we are going to be combining now both of them. Now I'll be combining both of them. Now in SAP S4HANA, we don't have this individual. Now in SAP S4HANA, we don't have these individuals like this. We are bringing only one. We are bringing only one ledger concept in SAP S4HANA from today onwards. We are bringing only one ledger concept in SAP S4HANA now from today onwards. So all the actuals, we can call them as the actuals actually. So now we have only one ledger. We have only one table. Now from today onwards in SAP S4HANA, we call it as the ACDOCA table. ACDOCA table, which is going to be called as accounting document actuals. We call it as the accounting document actuals. So earlier, all the actuals, if I come back and see, all the actuals will be posted for FI will be posted to the BSEC table, and controlling the postings are updated to the COEP table. Like that, material ledger tables are different separately, so we can see different. Now SAP, what it's telling that now it has been simplified your table. It has been simplified your table. Now the GL posting, now there will be only one transactions will be updated. If you are posting a GL, the GL will be updated to the same table. GL, this is called as my general ledger. And if you're posting any controlling related actuals like settlements or something like allocations or anything, controlling related transactions, now the controlling related actuals will go and store in the same table, which is going to be related to the CO. Same table. Now there is one more there are two more components are also there. So if you are posting anything related to your controlling, and postings are related to the asset accounting, which we call as the fixed asset accounting. Now the fixed asset accounting also, earlier we have different data structure. Earlier we are going to be using 3 different currencies. Now I'm using the same currency. And we have called as concept called as material ledger. The material ledger actual settlements and costings will be posted to the same. This is what exactly the material ledger. Totally 5 components are there. And last but not the least, we have one more component which is going to be called as COPA. COPA is going to be called as controlling profitability analysis. This is what exactly the COPA. COPA with account-based costing. I'll tell you what is the COPA because we will be discussing account-based. Account AB means account based. There are 2 types of COPA there. One is costing based, another one is account based. Now we are bringing the account base. So now if you see here, earlier in SAP ECC, we are defining a separate currency settings for the GL, currency settings for the asset accounting, controlling, COPA, and mid ledger like this different. Now, all the accounting transactions related to all these 5 components will be updated to the same table, where we call it as the universal general entry table. Now, we are simplifying the process in such a way that now there will be only one header table on the top of each. We have only one header table, which is called as the BKPF. Now, earlier, we have a separate header table for the GL, separate header table for the asset accounting, separate header table. Now there is no other header tables. Now we have only one header table, which we call it as BKPF. Only one header table for all the transactions. This is my header table, BKPF. This is only one header table now, which is going to be stapled on the top of your line item level table. This is on the top of your line item level table now. And only one line item level table, we call it as the AC divorce CA table. Now you are making the currency settings at the universal general entry table level. From today onwards, we are going to be doing the currency settings at the AC DOCA table level. So that is the reason. Now what the SAP has simplified, now they have brought a new screen, which is going to be called as, now they have brought a new screen for the universal currency settings over here. So all these currency settings are made at AC DOCA table level from today onwards. Very, 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 very important. So now how many currencies are going to be defined? So if I open the universal general entry table, now this is my universal general entry table. So we have 10 and 30. 10 is going to be called as your local currency and 30 is going to be called as your group currency. And apart from these two, SAP is providing you 8 freely defined currency types, which can be used for your various reporting purpose. So if I come to my universal general entry table, so 1710, my local currency is a 10, and from where this 30 has come, the 30 is going to be called in my universal. This is my universal general entry table structure, which I'm going to be defining. 30 here, I'm seeing somewhere, some of them are seeing as a 10, 10, 30 like this. So from where it has got defaulted. So the 1710 is the company code which has assigned to the controlling area. Now, whichever the currency type you define here, whichever the currency type you define, whichever the currency type you are going to be defining over here. So that will be called as your global currency type in your universal general entry table. Very, very important. It is a group currency. It is the 30 is going to be called as the group currency, but it is called as global currency type. It is called as the global currency type in your SAP S/4HANA from today onwards. A very, 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 very important topic this is. 10 is called as local currency. That is the first local currency. And here either it can be the 10 or 30, whichever the currency which is getting updated in the global currency type. If you are assigning only one company code to one controlling area, so here I would like to take 10. So the same will be defaulted here. But here, if I see here, my company code is assigned. My company code is assigned to the same controlling area. So which currency I have assigned to the controlling area? 30. So the 30 will be defaulted over here. The 30 will be defaulted here, which is called as group currency. But in my universal general entry table, I call it as a global currency type. I call it as a global currency type. Very, very important from today, because we are simplifying the data in such a way that now we are going to be having different currency types over here. And apart from these two currencies, so SAP is providing you 8 freely defined currencies for your any reporting purpose. Any reporting purpose, okay, 8 freely defined currencies are there. So you can take 40, you can take 50, you can take any other currencies. 40 I'm using for the 40 I'm using for the AUD, 50 I'm using for any other currencies. Now what happens tomorrow if I'm posting any transactions? Tomorrow, if I'm posting any transactions to the 1710 company code, yes, I'm posting an accounting entry. What is that accounting entry? I'm posting an accounting entry like this, okay, in the 1710 company code. What is that accounting entry? So my company code is 1710, and I'm posting an accounting entry which is called as my rent expenses account debit to my cash or bank account credit. So this is I'm posting at the company code level, my dear friend. This is I'm posting at the company code level. Now, here I'm posting how many $100. Assume that I'm posting $100, not more than that. Okay. Now this is my local currency, and this is also called as my document currency also. After I post this document, now if I come and see the settings, how many currencies have been assigned? Totally 4 currencies have been assigned. 10, I'll make it here. 10, 30, 40, and 50. Totally 4 currencies I have assigned to the ledger company code at the ledger combination. What is my ledger? OL. OL is nothing but my 0L. The local currency here, it is going to be the USD, and my group currency also USD only. Just now we are saying my group currency also USD, but my 40 currency I'm going to be taking the euro, and my 50 currency I'm going to be taking the INR. So now if I see here, totally 4 currencies have been assigned. So once I posted any transaction, once I port this transaction, now if I go and see the data in my SAP, now if I go and see the which table is getting updated, just now I told that, okay, all the transactions are getting updated to the table. Now when I'm posting a GL, a document is created for in which table? AC DOCA table. Now I'll go to the AC DOCA table. How to see the table? /n SE16 or SE16N. You can take anything. SE16 is the transaction code I'm going to be using now. I'll press enter. Now I'll go to the table ACDOCA table, like DOCA table, and I'm pressing enter. So here, very, very important. Now here, what is happening here? The ledger is getting updated. Which ledger? The main ledger, which we call it as a OL. Very, very important. Now, which company code? 1710 is nothing but my company code. Which year financial transaction? 2019. Just open the accounting. Okay, now I can see there will be some transactions. I can see which has got posted to the OL. Now I can see this is the OL, which is mainly useful for my IFRS reporting. OL. Okay, this is what exactly I call it as the leading ledger. Now, if I open any transaction, for example, now I'm going for the display. If you just come down, see, this is what exactly. This is what exactly, okay? So, the amount in balances transaction currency is going to be the 12,000. And the transaction currency is the 12,000. Okay, so we don't have any group valuation and the profit center valuation amount currency. I'll tell you what is the GB is called as the group valuation and PCV is called as the profit center valuation. We have not assigned anything. Amount in company code currency and amount in local group currency, both are going to be the same. So that is the reason I can see same. If I see there is a one more 2 currencies, 40, another one is going to be called as the 50. Now just I was sent. So if the values are get posted, so I can see the values. The first currency will be posted with euro, and the second currency, but the second one which I'm going to be using, second one which I'm going to be using 50 will be get posted. 50 will be get posted with another currency over here. It will be defaulted, it will be get automatically get updated. That is what exactly. If you go back, I selected the real-time transactions checkbox over there. So I can see. So if you are assigned different currency types, if you are assigned C1, C2, C3, C4 with a different currency. So you posted the transactions in local currency, but I can see the real-time conversion in euro, in USD, in INR, in AUD, like that. I can see different currency transactions. I can see the values over here in 8 default currencies over here. So this is completely, we call it as the central currency configuration in SAP S/4HANA. We can define up to 8 freely defined currencies for your reporting purpose. All these are going to be done setting at the universal general entry table level, my friends. These are all the settings I'm going to be making at the universal general entry table level. So this leading ledger, whatever the leading ledger I'm going to be calling, this is called as my parent ledger. So it is going to be assigned to all the company codes. And now you can see we are going to be defining. So this is the local currency which you have assigned to the company code, and the global currency is getting defaulted from your controlling area. The global currency is completely defaulted from your controlling area from this. Okay, so now we are making it as the universal general entry table with eight freely defined currencies. So now if I come to the simplification list, so here you can see here now. So this is the new simplifications which have been happened at the controlling area level now from today onwards. This is the new simplification list which is going to be happened at the controlling area level. So when any transactions are posted to the universal general entry table, all these are getting updated. I just know I told that it will be updated to your 10, 30, and if you're taking 40, 50, 60, Z1, Z2, Z3, Z4, Z5 as the additional currencies, it will be get updated. And apart from that, the BSEC table is still, it is active in your SAP S4HANA. My dear friends, BSEC table, it is active in SAP. Earlier, I just spoken with you one thing, that earlier, if you come to the finance accounting, BKPF is the header table and the BSEC table is the line item level table. Earlier in SAP ECC, but still in SAP S4HANA, BSEC is still, it is live in your SAP S4HANA. It is not at all removed. What purpose? Yes, I think most of the people you know about me, and in the introduction class I told about why the BSEC table it is still remains it in SAP S4HANA. There are some reasons are there for the BSEC table. So if you have the BSEC table in SAP S4HANA, now there is a problem I need to understand here. So BSEC table, actually it is an FI table in ECC. BSEC table is the line item level table in SAP ECC. Now you are telling that BSEC table is still available in your SAP S4HANA. Now if I come back and see that, you are telling that BSEC table, it is there in SAP S4HANA apart from your AC DOCA table. AC DOCA table itself is the line item level table. And again, you are coming and telling that BSEC table is also there. The common header table is going to be the same thing. The common header table is going to be the same thing over here. The common header table is going to be the same thing for both AC DOCA table and the BSEC level table. If I see the transactions, I can see the transactions, the same financial accounting entry is getting updated in the AC DOCA table. The same financial accounting transaction is getting updated in the BSEC table also. But in the BSEC table, I told that you can only update up to 999 line items only. In the BSEC table, we have only 999 line items, but in AC DOCA table, as I told you that now it has been increased up to 6 numerical value, that is 999 plus 999. So if you come back and see here, Mahesh, just now you told that in SAP ECC for the BSEC level, for the FI accounting, you told that there will be 3 defined currencies are there. First currency, second currency, and the third currency. So when you're talking about the BSEC is still, it is active in your SAP S4HANA, whether the BSEC is consuming the same currency settings you are making for the AC DOCA table, just now you just show the figure here. This is the same currency settings you are also using for the BSEC table, or it is only for the AC DOCA table here? So this is only for the AC DOCA table, not for the BSEC. Okay then. If you are telling that the postings are also getting updated, okay, very good. Okay, now I'll come into the point. Now you're telling me that in AC DOCA table, totally, if I see here, this is my AC DOCA table currency configuration setting. Totally 2 plus 8, totally 10 currencies are going to be supported. Totally 10 currencies. Okay. One is going to be called as 10, another one is going to be called as 30, and the remaining 8 freely defined currencies. 8 freely currencies. Okay. Now the same currency settings are also going to be used to the BSEC? No. BSEC will use the same currency types, SAP and ACC, whatever the currency types you have been used. Mean to say that if I go back and see here, BSEC is going to be using the same settings of first currency, second currency, and the third currency. Very, very important here. BSEC is going to be using the same currency settings over here like this. Same here. AC DOCA table currency settings are completely different, and the BSEC table currency settings are going to be completely different. So, first currency, second currency, only 3 currencies can be assigned to the BSEC. And when you come to the AC DOCA table, totally 8 freely defined currencies plus local currency and plus hard currency. That is going to be called as the global currency. Now, come back. So BSEC table you are telling that it is active. So in SAP ECC, we are going to be using the transaction code called as OB22. Just come to the simplification list. Okay, just come to the simplification list. So in SAP ECC Business Suite, we use the 3 parallel currencies for FI. FI is nothing but your BSEC table. So that is in OB22. OB22. Okay. But this OB22 is no more available in SAP S4HANA, my dear friend. OB22 is no more available in SAP S4HANA. It is vanished out. It is no more available. If I press enter, so it is telling that use the transaction FinSec_ledger to edit the currency settings. OB22 is no more available, but you have the new currency setting we can do in the FinSec_ledger. If I press enter, it is taking me to the same transaction. It is taking me to the same transactions of OB22. But here it is only you can see the display. Here you can only see the display. Now you can see all these 3 currencies. How this, if the OB22 is no more available, how these currencies have been updated in SAP S4HANA? Tell me now. That is what my SAP is putting a question to me. That is what my client is putting a question to me. So this is how the OB22 screen look like. But how this screen has got updated with this 10 and you can telling it as a 30 is going to be called as a group currency. So just now I got a warning that if I go to the OB22, the system is asking me use the transaction called as FinSec_ledger. Okay, right. I'll use the FinSec_ledger. Same. This is the FinSec_ledger. So already I've opened the screen. Here. Okay, this is my FinSec_ledger screen. This is what exactly. So already I've opened the screen here. This is the screen, FinSec_ledger. So if we just scroll down at the right hand side little bit, now here there are 3 currencies are there. Very, very important. See here, first currency, second currency, and the third currency. Very, 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 very important. I see totally there are 3 currencies are there. These are the table settings which I'm making for the AC DOCA table. These for up to here 8 freely defined currencies. And if you scroll down to the right hand side at the dead end, you can see 3 more currency types are there. These 3 more currency types are we are defining for the BSEC table, because now today we don't have the OB22. So because the BSEC table is still it is alive in our SAP S4HANA, BSEC table will only take the 3 currency types, not more than 3 currency types. So where these 3 currency types you are going to be maintaining, those 3 currency types I'm maintaining over here. The first currency, second currency, and the third currency. So these 3 currency types are for the BSEC table. So if you see here, if I come down, my BSEC and the fixed asset accounting is going to be using the same currency. Only 3 currencies. Material ledger is also only 3 currencies now. So where you are assigning these 3 currencies now, where you are assigning 10, 30, and 40. The 10, 30, and 40 I am assigning here. I'm going to be doing here. 10, 30, and if you want any third currency, you can assign over here. So this is for the BSEC table. Why the BSEC table is still it is there? Already we discussed in the introduction class. BSEC table it is there for the entry view. There are three purposes are there. Why the BSEC table is there apart from the AC DOCA table? There are three purposes we are going to be using why the BSEC table it is there in SAP S4HANA apart from your AC DOCA table. One is for the entry view. I'll tell you what is this entry view, everything. Second one is for the summarization of the line items. And the third one is for the open item management. Please make a note of this, all these things. These are the certification questions, please. Third one is for the open item management. To view the entry view, to see the document will be updated in two views. One is the entry view, another one is the general ledger view. All the entry view documents I can see in the BSEC table. And all the general ledger documents I can see in the AC DOCA table. General ledger view table will be updated. General ledger view means it is at the ledger level. That is at the OL level or something like non-leading ledger level. So the BSEC table is there because of entry view to see the documents in the entry view and for the summarization of the line items and for the open item management. For these three purposes, I'm using the BSEC table. Still, it is active in my SAP S4HANA. That is the reason BSEC is going to be having the same currency settings what we defined earlier, but not in OB22, but here in the same universal journal entry on the data side of right hand. You can, if you see here, there will be a first currency, second currency, and the third currency. So these currencies are for the BSEC level table. Clear, all of you? Who worked in SAP ECC earlier in the class?
I have, Larry.
So you got clear understanding now?
Yes.
All of you, is it very clear in making the sentence? What are the sentence have been delivered? Is it very clear to all of you now? I just only covered about 1 to 2% of universal general entry table. This 1 hour class since yesterday, we done only up to 10%, not more than that. Because we are going to discuss what is this fiscal year, posting period, parallel accounting. We need to discuss more into the subject over here. Just today and yesterday, only we have out of 100, only this particular screen, we discuss only up to 10%. I'm telling that, okay, so the simplification list is very, very important, my dear friends. So whatever the things I'm making me to understand, all the things are going to be explaining from the simplification list. Only the simplification list is going to play the major role for us.
Rahul?
So,
a quick question. You are telling that the BSEC table is there, but for three reasons, right?
yes,
The entry, view, and the
summarization and for the open item management.
Right. Is that SAP is looking forward in the next releases, it will be removed or something?
In 2021, sir. You're absolutely right, sir. Thanks for putting this question to me. So we are planning to bring that in 2021. So most probably that open item management and that summarization will be addressed in the AC DOCA table.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Okay. So have a nice day. We'll catch you next class.